How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today I'm super excited because we're going to be talking about a brand new horror movie, and that is Undertone. This just came out March 13th, 2026. It was directed by Ian Tuason and stars Nina Kiri, Adam DiMarco, and Michele Duquet. And this was actually distributed by A24. And really cool for them to put out something like this. This is a really nice, creepy, experimental haunted house movie. It has a really good sense of sound design, as everyone's saying, but also some really cool and creepy shots to it. And a really good sense of lore when you get into like the people in the audio recordings, secrets of backmasking, and what exactly is the evil entity haunting us here. I've heard that this director has already been hired to do Paranormal Activity 8, and I'm super excited for it. While this movie is not found footage, it has a lot of stuff that good found footage has. A really realistic tone behind it, and really a good creepy ambiance. The last few Paranormals got a little bit gimmicky, but now it seems like they're going back to their good scary roots, and I am super excited for that. But in regards to this movie itself, I'm super glad that A24 put this in theaters. As I said earlier, it's something based really heavily in sound design, so if you get to see it in a theater with a good theatrical sound system, that will add a lot to it. Plus, with all this creepy cinematography, you're going to be constantly trying to look and see if you can find anything in the background, so naturally, the bigger the screen, the better. And while I'm sure it will play fine at home, I really am glad I got to see this in a better format. And I can totally see a movie like this where it's kind of different and kind of experimental. Like 99 times out of 100, this would have just gotten dumped on streaming, and it would have had to wait years and years to develop a cult following. So again, I really am glad A24 gave this a super nice theatrical run. I definitely recommend checking this out, and again, if you get the chance, watch it in the theaters. But what's the movie about? I'm not going to do any major spoilers, don't worry. I do want to break down and analyze a few things, but we're going to focus primarily on the setup. So in this movie, you get the main girl, Nina Kiri's character, and she's alone in her mother's old house. This is the house where she grew up in, but the relationship between her and her mother has been a little bit strained. But sadly, she's not going to get to talk to her mother about that because her mother is dying. She's essentially comatose. It's hard to get her to eat or drink anything, but she has to take care of her and she has to feed her. And you don't know if anything you say or do is going to get through to her. It's a really tough emotional weight to see her like that, to see her so close to death. And then it's also a huge responsibility having to take care of her. Like she feels guilty if she has to go out for even one night. So it's this strong emotional weight right at the beginning, but she's also trapped in a pretty creepy house. And I will say, this kind of plays like a classic bottle episode of a TV show. It's pretty much just the main girl. I mean, you do get the mother and you do get people calling in, but it really is just her carrying the whole movie. And we do stay trapped in the one haunted house. If she has to leave, we don't get to follow her. There is no break in that tension. We're trapped here, and it is a creepy place to be trapped in. Well, luckily for her, she can work from home, as her job is being the host of this podcast. It's a creepy paranormal podcast, and she gets to play the skeptic host. Her co-host is going to be the one presenting these stories, and he's all into them, but she's going to be constantly coming up with rational explanations. And it turns out, not only is the podcast itself creepy, but they have to shoot it in the middle of the night because the co-host is in England, and the time difference is just that extreme. Well, for this week's episode, they got an email from a fan. The email address seems to be all nonsense, and same with the body text. However, it does include 10 audio recordings. And when they start playing them, it appears to be recordings of a couple who have set up the audio device because the wife appears to be talking in her sleep. And the movie, again, is not found footage, but the audio that they're listening to really does feel like found audio. Everything that you hear has a natural reason to be recorded, but we're also kept at a distance from these characters. They're a good, relatable couple, but we never actually see them on screen, and there's things like even just their names, you have to listen and eventually learn them. And they have to say, okay, what's going on? Is that the sound of a sink or maybe running water? And they're trying to piece together the clues of just what they're hearing. For real, a found footage podcast would be super, super cool. Crazy no one's done it yet. But over the course of these recordings, they start to talk about things like backmasking, which is where when you play the audio backwards, you hear a hidden message, and maybe some of that will be in what she's saying in her sleep. Also, we get things like children's nursery rhymes. Many of them have a dark undertone to them as well. So you see how we get lots of good audio horror in this movie. The found footage but it's audio element, trying to hear the hidden message and trying to piece together the details. And of course, children's songs, that's all going to be in the audio. But the audio does carry over into the other parts of the movie as well. Nice subtle sounds, creepy things, you're not 100% sure what you hear, and they even do a good job of just making the generic iPhone ringtone sound super, super creepy. But yeah, a really good and layered mix. It's super, super cool. But after a bit, they decide to break the podcast into multiple recording sessions, which admittedly was something that did bug me a little bit, like, come on guys, just finish the dang podcast. But they stretch it out over multiple days, and in turn we get her and her life and her living with her mother. But maybe the knowledge from the audio podcast has triggered some sort of haunting itself. And things get really creepy in this house. And again, everyone's praising the audio, and the audio really deserves a ton of credit. I mean, the movie is called Undertone, but boy is the cinematography creepy as well. They do things like framing up a shot where you think, okay, there should be something in the background, just the way it's framed. And then they'll do things like switching the dialogue air. You know how when you have a close-up shot, you expect more of the empty screen to be on like the way the eyes and mouth are looking? Kind of like subconsciously saying we're projecting that way. If you flip it and more of the empty screen is behind the character's head, it kind of conveys that we're in their head thinking, or maybe something's behind them lurking. Flipping dialogue air is a really nice, subtle, uncomfortable thing. They do that a lot. Also, the way the colors are kind of cool and washed out, and some nice glowing from unseen light sources. And again, just really clever shots. Some cool long shots because they actually have a house here. There's one point where there's a oneer, but I think they just took a series of pictures as they were moving, so it's kind of all jerky. And there's also a really cool shot where she's talking to a nurse, but it's framed where you're just looking in through the doorway and you only see her, and you're not sure if the nurse is really there or if this is a memory or maybe the nurse is on the phone. We're kind of kept distant from the camera angles, and again, good creepy things in the background. But I also like this movie and how it does lore. Obviously, in the first half, we're getting the lore of the couple in the podcast. We're trying to figure out who they are. But as the movie goes on, we get more lore about this evil entity, and it does become a good puzzle. It kind of reminds me of the Blair Witch, where you knew a bit about the Blair Witch, but not everything. But if you worked and pieced things together, you could figure out a lot more. And I am 100% sure that when this comes out on Blu-ray, people are going to pause the movie, take notes on all the little details, and there'll be some really killer lore videos on YouTube, I'm sure. But figuring out what the evil entity's doing, what it wants from her, why it's going after her specifically, it's not just, oh, we played the evil audio recording. There is a tie to her, and you kind of think, okay, maybe this was secretly going on, and hey, look at these three plot lines all coming together and starting to merge into this texture. The lore here really deserves a ton of credit. I got a good bit of it just on the first watch, but I really want to go back, rewatch this thing, and again, hopefully watch some YouTube videos on it and get to know all the little details because it is super, super cool. And again, just a good, creepy haunted house movie, locking us alone with pretty much just one actress in one location, and she really does sell the fear here. The fact that she is a skeptic, and she's gonna downplay this, but it is going to start getting to her. The theatrical experience is going to be really good, but I also think watching this alone in an empty house in a dark night will also be super creepy. So yeah, I cannot wait to pick this thing up. A super, super cool movie, and I'm sure it's going to be in the top 10 horror movies of the year. If you want something creepy and experimental, this is definitely for you, and I definitely recommend it. So yeah, check it out, especially in theaters if you get the chance. I had a lot of fun with this movie, and it's just so great to see something so creepy and so well made. Super big recommendation from me. Anyway though, all that being said, to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping the channel out. I'll leave a relevant playlist on the bottom. This should be my 2026 movies playlist. If you want to hear me talk about things like Scream 7, 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple, or Primate, you can click right here and see more. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Playlist here. Have a good day now.